But we have UFC Nashville coming up this weekend as well. Some interesting names on this show. Randa Marcos versus Angela Hill. You have Alexis Davis and Jennifer Maia. Formiga against Figueiredo. You have Blaydes and Willis, Thompson and Pettis. What are you most looking forward to on this show, Joe?
Well, I want to see what Formiga's got. Definitely want to see what Formiga's got. Obviously, with the Canadian, or a couple of Canadians on there with Alexis Davis and Randa Marcos. I want to see how they're going to do. We all love Angela Hill, right? Like, she's just special. The only criticism one can ever have of Angela Hill is that she just can't generate that power to knock somebody out, right? She just doesn't have, for some reason, doesn't have that frame or physique unless she sits down on her punches. But there's going to be some fun fights here. I just want to see what that flyweight fight and what it's going to actually mean for Formiga or Figueiredo and the winner, right? So I think it's going to be a fun, fast fight, but it does remain to be seen. There's other fights I'm sure we're going to talk about, but of those ones there,
Let's hit you guys with a quick betting rundown of some of the lesser-known fights. You have Haqparast, a -300.
He's not. I don't think he's fighting on this card, by the way. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you there, but I noticed they're still on here. They, according to I think he's injured, and McDessie's fighting Jesus Pinedo. That's what that was like updated like recently, because I heard Haqparast was injured.
Well, I'd like to throw the double middle fingers to best fight odds then.
I know they haven't updated it, but if you look on Tapology, they have McDessie with the new
Tapology is fantastic about
Tapology is amazing, used by yours truly whenever I do play-by-play.
Yeah, Tapology is they update fight results like immediately too. Yeah. Shout outs to Tapology. Okay, Eric Shelton, a -190, Jordan Espinoza, a +165, Chris Gutierrez, a -175. Ryan McDonald, a +155. You have Frankie Saenz, a +130. Marlon Vera, -150. Bobby Moffitt, -175. Bryce Mitchell, a +155. Of these, what stands out to you, James? Also, you spoke to Ryan McDonald ahead of this fight.
Yeah, Ryan's been chomping at the bit to get a UFC call for a while. 10-0, really legit guy. I think this fight's going to be very close with him and Chris Gutierrez. I do like the fact that Gutierrez has basically moved his entire camp now to Factory X and has really sorted out some things. I actually talked to both of these guys, and Gutierrez, just really kind of mentioned that the personal issues he had going into his debut. I know he's got some custody stuff going on with his kids, so it seems like he has that all behind him. So we're going to see a really good fight in the bantamweight division, two up-and-comers. This is Randa Marcos and Angela Hill fight. I love this matchup. These two people hate each other. Hill had called out Randa like months ago, and of course they have the history on the show where they didn't get along. And both fighters need to win. I mean, Randa's been win-loss, win-loss, win-loss. Finally a draw. She gets a draw in her last fight. And Hill, she's been a bit disappointing as well since she's come back from Invicta. So huge fight here. I'm really intrigued by that one. But I'm actually very intrigued by this Bobby Moffitt and Bryce Mitchell fight. Moffitt, look good on Contender Series, look good in his debut. I had a bit of controversy with that Chaz Skelly thing, but Bryce Mitchell, this guy, he's a character, but he's pretty talented too. I mean, he's not 10-0 for nothing. Looked good, I thought, in his UFC debut. This one can go either way, in my opinion. I think I don't think there's a sure bet either way in this one. Actually, what are the odds? Yeah, Moffitt's a favorite. I think there's some value on Mitchell, to be honest. I think he is really good. So.
Also, Angela Hill's a -155, Marcos a +135, Alexis Davis a -150. You interviewed her as well. Jennifer Maia a +130. Joe, what about these prelim shows? Actually, you're right, James. It is listed as Pinedo a +265, McDessie a -325. Don't know why they haven't pulled Haqparast off those odds, but Joe, anybody among those fights that stand out? Because I know that I'm very interested in Angela Hill, Randa Marcos, and Alexis Davis, Jennifer Maia, just because one good year puts you in the title hunt in a women's division.
Is Randa Marcos at +135 one of your I got fives on it?
There's some pretty wide lines here. I don't think so.
I think Randa is going to be able to take down Angela Hill at will.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, the main card has some very interesting fights. If you guys want to see who the UFC's behind, Macy Barber is one of those. James, you've spoken to her. She's a -220 ahead of JJ Aldrich +180. This is a real good under-the-radar fight that not a lot of people are talking about. But we talked about that Dana White 20-minute interview. This is one of the names he mentioned, Macy Barber. They have her doing reads for promos. That's not something they do for people that they don't like a lot. She's out there saying, I'm going to be Conor McGregor. I'm going to be the next Conor McGregor. And I'm thinking, hold your horses, but the machine is behind her. The machine is behind her, James.
Well, I think Macy lost that prompter 3027 when she did that ad. It wasn't very good.
Whoa.
I say this to someone who's
yes, James.
Well, I can get away with saying that. Look, I interviewed Macy, I think 3 times in the span of a week.
You're being generous. You're using the old scoring system.
Yeah, exactly. No, I am intrigued by this matchup though, because for 2 reasons. Number one, Macy's moving up a weight class. You know, she had a tough cut to straw weight. She actually missed weight on the regional scene, so her moving up to 25. I still don't fully get her reason about how she's moving up now and then moving back down later. Something about calories. I'm not scientific enough to understand that, but very intriguing fight. But what's really interesting about this matchup is her and Aldrich used to train together a little bit, so maybe there is some trade secrets there. You never know, but I mean, I think the UFC knows the value of Macy Barber, that she is so young. You know, she's an attractive girl, markets herself very well. I think there is some potential with her here. So, you know, I'm expecting her to win. But again, because this is a new weight class and because Aldrich has more UFC experience, I wouldn't lay the house on Macy Barber like I think I see a lot of people are. I'd like to see how she performs in a new weight class first. So
there's some real good value on JJ Aldrich at plus 180. Real good. We also have Luis Pena minus 280. Stephen Peterson a plus 240. And I mean, my God, I look at that and I'm like, all right, that one's a pretty wide line. Because I mean, Stephen Peterson is, gosh, I feel he's got like what, 24, 25 fights.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of value on Stephen Peterson there, but Joe, we see that. And Davison Figueiredo minus 145, Formiga plus 125. I think there's some value on Formiga there too, because Formiga, you throw him in there with almost any flyweight, there's a chance he's going to win. There's also a chance that he's going to completely crap the bed, but he always stands a chance.
As is evidenced by your Ray Borg loss on March 11th, 2017. But then Sergio Pettis was technically arguably next in line, and Formiga goes and beats him, right? And he submits Ben Wynn and Lucas Sasaki, who's now, I think he's with Ryzen now. But yeah, so he's on a 3-fight win streak, yet he's the underdog heading into this fight. Take nothing away from Davison. He's a good fighter. Don't get me wrong. He's undefeated. He's 15-0. Taking out John Moraga is something special. People are always sleeping on John Moraga, but he did it via TKO. It was back in August at the same time. But that's why I'm saying this is one of my fights of the night, man. This is going to be a fantastic scrap. It remains to be seen. But if you're asking me for value and asking me what I would do, you're damn right. I'd probably put 5 on Formiga. So
Figueiredo finishes fights at 125. It's not something that happens a lot, but you look at Formiga's history: Chris Carriasso, Zach Makovsky, Wilson Hayes, Dustin Ortiz, Sergio Pettis, Ben Wynn. He's beaten some really good fighters. He's also lost to some really good fighters: Ian McCall, John Dodson, Joseph Benavidez, Henry Cejudo, Ray Borg. Only people who have competed at the highest level in that division, James. My question is Davison Figueiredo going to be the next top in that division? And what does that even mean?
What does it even mean?
Yeah, it could just be a fantasy. I'm actually going the other way here. I like Formiga in this fight. I think this is an opportunity where, Figueiredo certainly, finishing John Moraga, very impressive. But, I look a couple fights back against Jared Brooks in a fight that I thought he lost. And, I think there are some moments where he has fights where he's not really living up to his potential. And you can't get away with that in a veteran against Formiga. I mean, I know Formiga, you talked about the Borg loss, but the Pettis win looks good. I mean, he's been on a roll. Whatever he's been doing the last couple fights has really been paying off. What is it? 3 straight wins, I think, heading into this fight. I've been pretty impressed. And, to submit Ben Wynn, I know Ben Wynn's, in Ryzen now, but still, I mean, he's a tough guy. To finish him the way he did, I thought was very impressive. I'm going with the upset here. I like Formiga.
Curtis Blaydes, a minus 280 against Justin Willis, a plus 240. This is a real interesting fight because, Curtis Blaydes, a guy that, again, you talk to James, you talk to him often. How is his mindset after being so close to a title shot and then kind of getting away from that and having to reset?
Well, I don't know if it's just experience or what it is, and I'm sure you watched the interview already, Sean, but I have never seen Curtis so relaxed in an interview. It seemed like I was really getting him at a good time. I don't know if it's the time we did the interview or whatever, but he just seemed in such a good mood, and he's laughing and stuff. And that's just usually, like, Curtis is not interviews are tough for him, and for him to sort of come out of his shell. I don't know if that's confidence. I don't know what it is, but the thing I love about this fight is that Alistair Overeem has been working with him this entire camp in Denver. I know he worked with him the last fight, but I think that, to me, I see this as a bit of a mismatch. I think Blaydes is that much better than Willis. I realize Willis is on a winning streak, 4-0, I think now. But I think Blaydes has sort of that. There are things about Blaydes in his game that makes me think that he can get to a title shot. Whereas with Willis, it's been pretty average. I mean, go even a couple fights back against Chase Sherman. Chase Sherman's a guy he should have finished, and he didn't. And that was a pretty lackluster fight. I know he beat Hunt, but in general, I haven't seen too much. And I do want to bring up this tweet because I noticed this, and I know managers talk here, but this is what Curtis's manager tweeted to Sean Bitter, MMA Wizard on Twitter. He says, because I think Sean had a tweet here saying something about, is anyone putting any money on? He's saying, I like Justin Willis at plus money. And his manager tweets back and he says, let's just call you crazy, Sean. Dude asked for Curtis and then tried to turn it down for 14 days. I have the text. He's going to go broke. Now, I know that's manager talk, but, if Willis, because he's a bit of an interesting guy, maybe, if he says there's text and maybe there's some truth to that he didn't want this fight, mentally, where is he at? I mean, I don't think, his manager just throws that out there for no reason. So that was a bit concerning to read too. But of a lot of picks on this card, I feel very confident that Curtis Blaydes is going to get it done. He got caught by Ngannou. A lot of guys do. Yeah. I don't see Willis doing that here.
I'm with you. I think Blaydes mops the floor with Willis, but there is always that opportunity that a heavyweight connects with another heavyweight on the jaw and they go to sleep. Other than that, I think Blaydes is your winner here. Joe, what do you think?
Someone's going to have to, other than the one punch knockout that you just said, Sean, or someone touches someone else's chin at heavyweight, things can change. I don't know any other way that Justin Willis can win this fight. I mean, Curtis Blaydes, in my opinion, is just going to own this fight and determine when it's going to end. He's just that skilled. And I know, Justin went the distance with Mark Hunt, emerged victorious. It wasn't exactly the most exciting fight. I just know Curtis Blaydes, like you guys said, you got touched by Ngannou, man. You get touched by Francis, your chances are you're going to sleep. So I like Curtis a lot in this fight here. I'm looking at the rankings. He's number 4. Justin's number 10. I also see Jermaine Durandamy as the number 1 contender at bantamweight. That's another story altogether. But yeah, so Curtis Blaydes.
Main event, Anthony Showtime Pettis moving up to welterweight, a plus 365. Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, a minus 460. Now, this will be Pettis' first fight at this weight. He has played hokey pokey with his weight for quite a while. I have no clue how he's going to perform, but that line's crazy enough for me to put 5 on it. I'm so intrigued by this because Anthony Pettis, he's going to have to be aggressive. He cannot play the stand outside and kick away game. He can't do that. And if he thinks he can, he's not going to do it better than Wonderboy Thompson. So to me, the question is, Joe, what will be Pettis' game plan going into this fight?
Stick and move. Stick and move. Oh. I know. It's not going to be easy. Talking about a guy who can use his feet in Stephen Thompson like a jab, right? So it's going to be a very difficult scenario. The other option is clinch, use your submission game because he does have a fantastic submission game. Take away the space from Thompson. You may have to eat 1 or 2 to get it. Take away the space, get that clinch up against the cage, work your hand positioning, work your head positioning, grab a takedown, grab a trip, and start controlling your opponent early in the round. That way you have time to look for that submission. Like you said, at this weight, we don't know how he's going to perform against the number 3 fighter in the world. So, I'm leaning towards Stephen Thompson in this fight because if for whatever reason Pettis can't get that takedown, I think there's a pretty big reach advantage here too. So I'm leaning towards Thompson in this fight.
James, your thoughts?
The value for sure on this fight is on Pettis. I mean, the line is crazy. Like, to me, you could almost argue that Thompson is getting worse. I mean, that fight against Darren Till, I thought he won, but it still wasn't a great fight in his regard. And we've seen fights like that where he just, he doesn't end up living up to it. Now, saying that, he does have that win over Masvidal, which I think looks even better now. But it's concerning that he has that, the layoff. He hasn't fought since May. Pettis has been a little bit more active than he has. We'll see. As far as the reach, I was looking this up myself because I was curious about that. So Thompson is 6 feet tall, 75-inch reach. Pettis, 5'10", 72-inch reach. So not a huge difference, but I mean, you never know. Pettis might actually perform better because I think he does cut a lot of weight in general. We'll see what happens there. I think Thompson probably wins because, again, you got to go with the guy who's been at the weight class more, fought, the who's who in that division, really. I mean, Thompson's never, his last couple of fights, he's fought nothing but killers. And Pettis, I mean, he's, is has the win over Chiesa, but he's not a lightweight. Jim Miller, Oliveira, like it's tough to say. That's why I actually kind of like this fight. I remember when it was first announced, I was like, this is a stupid matchup. Like, first off, like Pettis doesn't deserve this fight and whatever. But now that I think about it, I'm kind of intrigued because we have no idea, like Sean said, how Pettis is going to look at 170. So if there's value in this fight, it absolutely is on Pettis. We could see an upset here, but I have a feeling Thompson's probably just going to edge out a decision here and get it done and get back on the track and get back in the mix. I mean, when was the last time we talked about Stephen Thompson in a fight? He's just been out for so long, had a tough time getting opponents. So I think Thompson takes it by decision.
All the pressure's on him too, because if Pettis wins, what does that mean for the 170-pound rankings? You just took out number 3. You're not even ranked in the division.
Yeah, and Thompson being that high is wild to me. He has 1 win in his last 4 fights. He has 1 win since July of 2016. Granted, that Masvidal win looks a lot better this week than it did last week. We will have full live coverage and discussion. We have pick'ems, all kinds of stuff.